In this video, I'm going to share with you the information that I wish I had when I was a teenager. Had I known this, maybe right now I'd be 6'7" and in the NBA. I'm going to do a comprehensive breakdown how diet can not only make you grow taller, but also make you more intelligent. At the end of this video, not only will I give you a full diet plan that I would use, but I'll also play a clip of me talking to a doctor named Ken Berry, who has 3 million subscribers on YouTube, about what he thinks on this very topic. So how do we get tall? Well, all humans used to be 6'2". When we find fossils from 12,000 years ago or prior, before humans started agriculture, meaning we only ate meat, there were many tribes who had an average height of 6'2". However, nowadays the average man is around 5'8". How do we explain this? Well, one of the key factors when it comes to growth is something known as growth hormone. There is a professional footballer, you may have heard of him. His name's Lionel Messi. He's the second greatest player of all time. Well, he was actually destined to be a literal midget, but they injected him with growth hormone during his teenage years, so he grew to a normal height. When we're in a fasted state, meaning that we have not eaten, our growth hormone elevates a monumental amount. There have been studies that have found when people don't eat for days on end, their growth hormone elevates thousands of percent. But here's the thing, if you don't eat, you're not going to grow. Luckily for you, there is something known as a fasting mimicking diet. Whenever we eat carbohydrates, our blood sugar levels spike massively, and another hormone known as insulin also elevates to bring our blood sugar levels back down. However, when insulin is elevated, it blocks our body's ability to produce this growth hormone. Now, when we eat a diet that is only fats and proteins, our blood sugar levels stay a lot lower, which means we also have lower insulin levels, and therefore our body can produce more growth hormone. Now, this is incredibly evolutionary consistent with our ancestors who ate only meat. This right here is the number one factor as to why humans used to be so tall. Our growth hormone levels were always high because we didn't have carbohydrates, which were ruining them. Now let's talk about nutrient quantities. You've been told your entire life that if you want to get nutrients, you need to eat plants. The broccoli, the spinach, that will make you tall supposedly. Well, our ancestors did not eat any plants, and they were a lot taller than we are now. And for those of you who doubt me on that topic, I'll link to another video of mine that I made at the end of this one. In fact, by simply eating enough red meat, you get every single nutrient you need in the perfect quantities. Now, in theory, plants have a lot of nutrients. Let's look at why this isn't actually the case. For starters, these plants are grown in the same soils over and over again. Now, for a plant to have nutrients in it, it needs to get these nutrients from the soils that it's grown in. Now, when these soils are continuously used and they're doused in these toxic pesticides, they end up becoming completely void of nutrients, and therefore when we analyze the amount of nutrients in these vegetables, it is incredibly low. Now, this is made even worse due to something known as nutrient bioavailability. In every single plant, there are these compounds called anti-nutrients. And essentially how these compounds work is that they bind to many nutrients and prevent their absorption in the human body. In fact, in some studies, they find that 90% of the iron in spinach cannot be absorbed by humans. And when they put people that are deficient in iron on high spinach diets, they find that their iron levels actually decrease. In fact, there are many nutrients essential for the growth of humans that you cannot get in plants. Now, if you want to be smart, you obviously want to give your brain all of the essential building blocks. 25% of the human brain is made from what is known as carbon 20 and 22 fatty acids. Now, these are abundant in animal fat. However, in plants, they only contain carbon 18 and below fatty acids. Now, the human body has a very limited ability at converting these carbon 18 fatty acids into the carbon 20 and 22 fatty acids that we require. And in fact, since humans have switched from this all meat diet to a diet that is primarily plants, we have seen the size of our brain shrink by 10%. Yes, that's right. 12,000 years ago, the human brain was 10% bigger than it is now, as well as the fact that there is a long list of essential nutrients that you can only get from meat that you cannot get from plants. So if you are not eating sufficient meat, your brain just simply cannot develop properly. Okay, so we've established we need a low carbohydrate diet, so we don't spike our blood sugar and therefore insulin, which damages our growth hormone, and we need a diet with meat in it because it has all the essential nutrients that we need. We have a couple of options here. First, we have a ketogenic diet, which essentially is a heavy meat diet with things like nuts and low carbohydrate vegetables. Or we can go with the proper human diet, a carnivore diet. But here's the key problem with a keto diet, and that is that you're still consuming plants Now, what I'm about to say is going to blow many of your minds, but plants are trying to kill you. The sole goal of every single living species is to survive and reproduce. Now, for animals, they can kick, they can run, they can bite. Some animals, like kangaroos, they can even punch. But plants are obviously stationary. They can't do any of these things. So they develop something known as defense compounds. This is why vegetables have that bitter taste. It's our taste buds recognizing these defensive compounds that are toxic to us in the food. And for those of you who think I'm crazy and I'm lying about this, there is a brilliant video by a man named Dr. Anthony Chafee called Plants Are Trying to Kill You, which I highly recommend you check it out. That video there changed my life. Now, with the carnivore diet, it is the exact diet our ancestors ate. It's how humans are meant to eat. It contains every single nutrient we need and none of the bad stuff. And before you go, well, there's no way you can get every single nutrient in red meat. Ask a vegan to name one single nutrient that is not abundant in red meat. The fact of the matter is that humans are carnivores. Now, maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, what about animals like gorillas and cows? They're massive animals and they eat plants. Well, here's the thing. They are herbivore species, meaning that for millions of years, they have eaten plants and they've developed adaptations to break these plants down. In fact, when they eat plants, they ferment them and they turn them from carbohydrates into short-chain fatty acids and protein, and it breaks down the toxic defense compounds in the plant. However, humans, like lions, like wolves, are a carnivorous species. We have none of these adaptations. All eating plants does to us is spike our blood sugar, and these toxic defense compounds poison us. The human lifespan is meant to be 120 years, but even in countries with healthy diets with their green leafy vegetables as well as some meat, they only live to 80 years old, and that is a direct consequence of these plant defense compounds. There is a reason that these animals are still, well, no offense to them, I'm sure they're not watching, so they won't take any offense, but they're really stupid, right? Their cognitive ability is terrible. That's why, they're in zoos and in paddocks, and why we rule over them. By only eating plants, they can't get the nutrients that they need for their brains to develop like ours. And what's very interesting about these herbivore species is that given the opportunity, they will actually eat meat also. However, they're just simply not smart enough or not physically capable enough to kill animals on a consistent basis and therefore have a regular food supply of animals. Now, as promised, my eating plan to you is simply eat as much meat and eggs as you can twice per day. It's literally that simple. Now, the other day I asked Dr. Ken Berry, is the carnivore diet or the proper human diet as it should be called for everyone? And here was his answer. Now, we see in the wild with every animal, I should say, that they all eat the exact same thing. Every single species, they all eat the same foods. It's not, hey, you're growing, you eat this type of plant, we'll eat this meat over here. But when it comes to humans, a lot of people say, no, the proper human diet is not for me. Do you think that everyone, including younger children, can do the carnivore diet?
Every human of every age and with any known medical condition is going to benefit from eating a proper human diet. For many people, their place on the spectrum of a proper human diet is carnivore or lion diet. Maybe for just a while, maybe 3 months, maybe for the rest of their life. The only way to know is to try it. There is no human being on planet Earth who should not eat a proper human diet, regardless of what medical condition you have, regardless of what your doctor told you, regardless of what your dietitian or your psychiatrist told you. Your health will improve if you eat a proper human diet consistently enough for long enough.
Now, chances are, if you're young, everything I've said in this video goes against everything you and your parents have been told your entire lives. And it would be incredibly stupid of you to change your entire lifestyle because one random dude on the internet told you to. So I highly recommend you check out Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Sean Baker, who's been on the Joe Rogan Experience a couple of times, as well as Dr. Ken Berry, who you saw the clip from before. I've interviewed all of them on my channel. These people are legitimate medical doctors who eat only meat. What I'm saying right now may sound incredibly crazy, but I promise you, in 10 years' time, you're going to go, man, I really wish I listened to that random dude. Anyways, above me right now are a couple of videos of mine that I think you'll like, and linked in the description are the channels of the doctors that I've talked about. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Oh, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this.